Konomon! 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 I'll be showing you how to make the most addicting and tangy pickled daikon recipe of Naru's grandpa from the manga Barakamon by Satsuki Yoshino. Konomon! It'll leave you craving more after finishing it off, just like Honda Sensei after he finished a huge bag of Konomon from Naru's grandpa. You start by cleaning and peeling the skin of the daikon. After the peeling is cutting the 1 kilogram, roughly 2.2 pounds of daikon crosswise into thin round cuts, about 1/8 an inch in size. The original recipe lists a 3 kilogram daikon, which is roughly 6.6 pounds, and too much for me to make at one time, but 1 kilogram isn't a problem. You can easily make more if you wanted to on another day. It's easy to make, and the hardest part is waiting for the addicting pickled daikon to properly pickle. This is a recipe everyone can make as it doesn't require elaborate cutting techniques, and making the pickling brine is quick and simple. You'll now cut those round cuts into triangular pieces, with each round cut giving you 4 pieces. It's easier to stack up your round cuts first, then cut the daikon rounds into the 4 pieces. Try to keep the cuts about the same size, but if some end up being a bit bigger or smaller, it's not a problem. What you want is more uniformity in shape rather than size. After all, the closer you cut to the bottom of the daikon, the smaller the pieces will be. After you're finished cutting, put the daikon pieces into a hanging drying net, then hang it in a preferably sunny area to dehydrate the daikon for around 24 hours. It may take longer depending on where you live, as the humidity or the lack of constant sun exposure could affect the drying time too. Drying the daikon will condense the flavor of it and give it a nice crunch when you bite into it after it's been rehydrated from pickling. You could also use a large wicker basket to do the drying, though to be safe you'll want one with a net covering to prevent dust, insects, animals, and more from eating or dirtying your daikon. If you can't dry your daikon outdoors, a food dehydrator will work as well. I'll have links in the description to choose the best option to dehydrate your daikon for your living situation. As I already have an area in the garden to hang vine veggies off of, I hung my hanging drying net on it too. You'll start making your pickling brine about 2 hours before you bring your daikon in from hanging outside. The timing is so you can give the brine enough time to cool down before combining with the daikon. Put a cooking pot on the stovetop. Add half a cup of light soy sauce. Dark soy sauce is okay too if you can't get access to light soy sauce, but light is preferred. Add half a cup of sushi seasoning vinegar. Last is 1 cup of sugar, a little less if using dark soy sauce. Mix everything together well, then turn the stovetop on to medium heat to dissolve the sugar. If you want a spicy konomon, the manga recommends adding whole dried cayenne pepper during the pickling process, but for a spicier result, I recommend adding it now in the pot to cook with the other ingredients. The heat during the cooking process will release the spiciness of the peppers more than just adding it while pickling. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you! Every new subscriber makes us happy to see. When the sugar is dissolved, turn off the heat, then take the pot off the stovetop to allow the brine to cool down. As you can see, after 24 hours, the daikon pieces are quite dehydrated and are ready to be pickled. The edges are wrinkly, you can easily see the veins of the daikon, and the thinner pieces of daikon are even see-through. Some pieces are dehydrated more than others, but it's not a problem as they'll be rehydrated anyways with the brine. As you can see, not all the pieces are the same in size, but the shapes are relatively the same, which is what you want. I pickled the daikon in a 33-ounce artichoke heart jar from Costco. If you don't have a large jar, a Ziploc bag would work, as long as you can pickle in an airtight container which won't leak. Put the dried daikon loosely in the jar. After you add all the daikon in the jar, you can add the brine in next. If you find the amount of brine is not enough, you can add a little more soy sauce and sushi vinegar. Once you seal the jar, I recommend shaking it to get the brine mixed up again and to coat all the daikon pieces. You're now done making it, but need to wait 2 to 3 days for it to finish pickling, which you can dream of eating while you wait. As long as you don't open the jar, you can leave it in a cool and dry place to pickle. As the brine will be absorbed by the daikon, you'll see less brine and bigger rehydrated pieces of daikon in the coming days. I tend to shake the jar whenever I pass by it to ensure all the daikon pieces will absorb the brine. Let's see how it tastes after 2 days of brining. Itadakimasu. Tasty and crunchy. I can see why Honda Sensei kept eating it and quickly ran out of despite receiving a big bag of it. It's sweet, savory, and crunchy, which is what I love to eat. The sweetness from the sushi vinegar and sugar combined with the saltiness of the soy sauce and slightly sour and addicting flavor of the vinegar makes konmon quite addicting to eat. If I had a container of these next to me all day too, like Honda Sensei, I would also be eating them non-stop. I did need to stop though, so I could do a comparison between a 2-day and a 3-day brine. On the left is a 3-day brine from the jar, and on the right is a 2-day brine I had separated into the bowl. The 3-day brine is quite shiny, wet, and darker in color since it was soaking in the brine versus a 2-day which is drier looking and less dark. The 3 days flavor is strong since it's soaked in the brine longer. The 2 days flavor isn't as strong, but you can taste the flavor and the ingredients more obviously, and I feel there's more crunch to it too. Let's try both with rice next. The flavor of the rice combined with the 2-day brine daikon is okay. There's just something missing to bring the two together, otherwise they should be eaten separate with the pickles being a palate cleanser. The 3-day brine soaked daikon is much better with rice. The soft and fluffy rice soaked in brine contrasts well with the crunchy and stronger flavor of the 3-day brine konmon. So eaten with brine, the daikon and rice can be a meal compared to no brine. So tasty. Let's try them next together with congee. As congee tends to have a soft mouthfeel to make it easier to eat, let's add pickled daikon to give it the crunchy texture too, which I love. The 2-day brine, which doesn't have the brining liquid, does go quite well with the congee. It doesn't overpower the flavor of the congee, you can taste the brining flavor, and the sourness makes me want to eat more of it together with the congee. With the 3-day konmon, I feel it's overpowering the flavor of the congee, and the extra liquid soaked in the daikon doesn't give a good mouthfeel. So if you're eating konmon by itself or with congee, I recommend the 2-day brine with the daikon taken out of the liquid brine. 3-day brine konmon is best with the rice soaked with the brine. After you open the jar, I recommend putting it in the fridge, assuming you're not so addicted you eat it all in one day, hehe. The ingredients you'll need for this adjusted konmon recipe from the Barakamon manga is 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds of daikon, 1 cup of sugar, half a cup of sushi vinegar, half a cup of light soy sauce, and optional whole dry cayenne pepper to taste. If you have the space, you can make the original recipe from the manga, which is 3 kilograms, 6.6 pounds of daikon, 3 3/4 cup of sugar, 3/4 cup of sushi vinegar, and 3/4 cup of light soy sauce with the optional cayenne pepper. I'll have links in the video description for you to buy the ingredients you'll need to make and enjoy this recipe too. Support the mangaka by buying the manga, which is completed, that I'll link to in the description in English and Japanese. Follow the mangaka on Twitter, which I'll also link to in the description. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Until next time, see ya!